Well, hello and welcome to the midweek trade right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Here's what's coming up on the show today. As global trade takes center stage amidst tariff wars, we discuss the state of Nigerian ports. The Kenyan economy grows at the slowest pace since 2020, with GDP expanding just 4.7% in 2024. And good news for Ghana. The inflation rate fell to an 8-month low in April, 21.2%. And it's great to have you join us. I'm Ladi Williams. Let's get a check on what's playing out with the markets that we track, starting with oil. We've seen oil prices, they're up on signs of weakening production in the U.S. and higher demand in Europe and China as buyers emerge after prices fell to their new lows earlier in the week. So I guess that's what lows are for. Lows are for buying, and we're seeing the oil bulls there buying up all of those juicy prices, sub $60. So now we're seeing 1% rise for Brent crude, $62.76 a barrel, still following from the rise we saw earlier, $59.80, and that's for the U.S. grade there, up a bigger 1.20%. So we're seeing, both benchmarks there after suffering, big declines there. We're seeing most of the buyers there trying to snap up, some of those prices. We'll see if this momentum, continues going forward in the market. Let's get a check on what's playing out in with other stories. Now we see ExxonMobil has confirmed plans to invest $1.5 billion in Nigeria's deep water exploration and development over the next 2 years, starting from the second quarter of 2025. And I'll see the financial commitments scheduled for implementation between the second quarter of 2025 and 2027 focuses on revitalizing production in the Usan deepwater oil field. Shane Harris, ExxonMobil's managing director in Nigeria, disclosed this during a courtesy visit to Benga Komolafe, the commission chief executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. The company notes that the investment will also target the accelerated development of the oil deep water fields, among others. This development counters speculation about ExxonMobil's potential withdrawal from Nigeria, instead signaling a strategic expansion and strengthening of its operational footprint in the country. From there now, let's get a check on what's playing out with gold there in the metals market. We're seeing a big drop across board there with spot gold taking the biggest dip, 1.20%, but still solidly above that $3,000 psychological level. U.S. gold futures 0.70% down. Silver not left out with a sell-off there, $32.93 per ounce, and same with platinum and palladium, and all of this because of potential talks there between U.S. and China there. So that starts tomorrow, and we're seeing investors already pricing that in there, selling off most of the metals. All right, we see PwC's 28th annual Global CEO Survey for Nigerian business, which shows that Nigerian business leaders are leaning into artificial intelligence and strategic reinvention to future-proof their companies and amid rising economic pressures. The report reveals that 72% to significantly transform their workforce and skills strategies, outpacing their peers in sub-Saharan Africa with 60% and globally at 68%. More than 6 in 10 Nigerian CEOs also believe AI will become a central pillar of their business strategy, slightly ahead of the 58% recorded across Africa and globally. And internet consumption in Nigeria, that dropped slightly following a 50% increase in telecom tariffs approved in January. Data from the Nigerian Communications Commission shows that usage declined from a record 1 million terabytes in January to 893,000 terabytes in February. It picked up again in March, reaching 995,000 terabytes, though still below January's figure. Definitely, we know high prices impact demand. Then we see the National Identity Management Commission has announced the official approval for the launch of the National Identification Number Authentication Application, designed to provide seamless identity verification across Nigeria. This move follows a directive from President Bola Tinubu for the adoption of the North as a key tool for verification across various ministries, departments, and agencies in the country. So I guess we'll be looking out for that app. All right, despite a global surge in tap-and-go transactions, Nigeria's payment landscape remains stubbornly cash-centric, with contactless adoption below 5% of total transactions. Industry analysts point to a perfect storm of infrastructure gaps, consumer distrust, and regulatory inertia stifling the technology's growth.
It's back to consumer awareness. When consumers see the benefits and the convenience, everybody's looking to buy convenience. So once they that this is convenient, they will demand for it, and I think that's why we need to really promote it and create that awareness for it. The cost of POSs, most merchants don't want to pay that cost. They want banks to give it to them free, and or require money over time. So how do we bring down those costs? It comes to the fact that, for I need to grow, production needs to, of course, some things need to happen locally. How do we start to assemble POSs locally, build it locally here, and bring down the costs? So until we're able to achieve a lower cost for this infrastructures, it will still continue to be a challenge. Why should the woman selling granules not have a POS? But the cost will scare. So how do we bring down that cost? Or do we subsidize that? Will government be willing to subsidize that so that POSs can be given free of charge or something? I think we need to look at those options if we really want to achieve a fully cashless environment.
No matter where they are, if it concerns the people.
All right, now to our first conversation. Nigeria's maritime sector has long struggled with corruption, inefficiency, and exploitative practices. And now we have the launch of the National Compliance Joint Task Force of Licensed Clearing Agents. The coalition is a mix of maritime professionals, logistics experts, and trade leaders. They've set an ambitious agenda to enforce compliance, eradicate smuggling, and hold both industry players and government officials accountable for unethical practices. Well, joining us now to unpack this, we have Dr. Basil Wallace, as a National President, National Compliance Joint Task Force of Licensed Clearing Agents. And he's joining me right here in the studio. It's good to have you, sir.
Thank you very much, Larry Williams.
Yes, sir. So, so much, going on right now on the global scene. When we're talking about, when Donald Trump, came up with the tariffs,
taxation,
and all of that.
Yes.
We've seen how that has roiled, markets, businesses. And, when we look at the situation in Nigeria, it seems we've been dealing with tariffs, in the country for the longest time with the inefficiencies we see in our ports. So it seems that is contributing a lot to the inflation that we see, today with goods and services. That's if you're looking at the import side of things. So break it down for me. Why are the ports in Nigeria, still the way they are, or have you seen some kind of improvement?
Well, as a matter of fact, the sum total problem we are facing in inflation, in services rendered to the Nigerian people in the marketplace and all that, is a product of corruption in the maritime freight forwarding and import and export system. And the unfortunate thing there is that most times the officials of government in those areas are responsible for these inflations. They are responsible for these corruptions. As a matter of fact, there's no way you can do anything irresponsible in any of those areas without the collaboration of those officials. So I think that if government wants to battle the issue of corruption in the maritime, in the import and export, transport logistics, they have to start from their own. That's officials. Those officials, they are appointed to oversee or to interpret the laws in those areas. Because as I tell you, corruption is becoming like a national phenomenon.
So it's
not
what you're saying now,
it's getting worse.
It seems we're the ones getting in our own way.
Exactly.
In trying to boost exports.
Exactly. Let me take you like this. Let me come this way. A situation whereby we have what the government termed as export processing zones to facilitate fast disposition of export of goods, to improve the income of exporters. What happened there? The Nigerian Ports Authority and some people claiming to war with them have made the place unbearable for the transporters, for the shippers, for the exporters, so that at the end of the day, there's what we call capital flight. A lot of money goes through the back doors. At the end of the day, that if you export cargo outside the country, to make profit will be a big deal for you, to be a big problem. So this is the situation that we are facing. But government in itself has a program. They say, let us speed up this export so that somebody can export cargo within a short period of time to avoid damaging or expiration or destruction of perishable goods. What happens? You are left in the dark, most of the government policies, so that at the end of the day, you have to pay through your nose to make sure that these consignments go out without getting destroyed.
So that means at the end of the day, if as an exporter, if I'm trying to get my goods out, with all of that bureaucracy and issues I find at the port, I have to sell higher.
Yes, yes.
Even though my currency is weak.
Yes, your cargo will never be competitive, because at the end of the day, when you plow in the expenses, not the official expenses, but those that is being collected by transport corporations, Ministry of Transportation, Federal Ministry of Transportations, touts and all that before the cargo goes to the port. And the one you spend while examining the consignment, and the days you waste. If you are not careful, the items will perish, will be destroyed, will not be valuable in the market anymore. So what you do is that you bring out a large chunk of money and drop on the table to make sure that this consignment will leave the Nigerian port.
But so far, I know we've seen some policies from the government, as you did mention, there, and we've also seen groups coming together saying, you know what, we're going to end corruption at the ports. Then the latest one, we have the Odogu platform. I believe that's supposed to be doing something, right?
Yes, the Odogu platform is a beautiful platform. But like I said, it's not a problem of policy. We are, if you look at the International Committee of Nations, Nigerians are very brilliant people. And most of the times, policies that will make a great impact in our nation and everywhere is made. But the problem is, these policies, are they implemented with the mindset of those who brought it into being? No. Corrupt officials make these policies that are beautiful made to suffer setbacks. And at the end of the day, there will be nothing to show for it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, let me put it this way. If you have a government that said, fine and good, we are going to create an enable environment for you to do your export business with your threat and all that. And you see, taking consignment from one end to the other, are you getting me? You suffer a lot of problems. Police stopping you on the way, all manner of people, even including touts and thugs, claiming to be one organization or the other. Are you getting what I'm saying? Stop the trucks on the way. At times beat up the drivers. Before the consignment gets to the port and before it finally leaves the nation's shores, it becomes too late. So that's the problem.
So, we've had a couple of pressure groups, come up, different associations, trying to make things easier. What can we expect from your association, at this point to actually tackle these issues, stop all of this bureaucracy and, the corruption?
Yes, I feel sorry for most of the organizations that come up because most of them don't have the willpower to say no to corruption. Corruption is very attractive. You see corrupt officials, corrupt persons, corrupt individuals.
But it's easy money.
Making it very easy. They are just like low-dropping fruits, for the tree that you can just spark. So it is a situation that it makes us to believe that all Nigerians are having problems of refusing to be corrupt. Because people that are trying to walk ahead of time to swim against the tide are giving hell for their money. They are stressed up. For example, if I tell you the stress I'm going through for the past 1 year because we say that corruption is killing our economy. Corruption is killing the people. Corruption is making the people poor. Are you getting me? The people that are involved in business are getting poorer, but officials who are saddled with this responsibility are getting richer. Are you getting what I'm saying? So now they will introduce you to some easy money when you come on board, and they put you into part of the settlement syndrome. Are you getting what I'm saying? So that at the end of the day, instead of you trying to express what brought you to fight in the first place, you start looking for a way to share money with people. So that is the problem. So I don't really blame them, but they are supposed to be blamed. What would they tell their children? What would they tell God about Nigeria when they leave this world? Because we cannot continue, to be doing the same wrong things, the same wrong way, and believing that Nigeria will be good. Everybody always seems to be asking, this government did this government did not do this. We are really the problems. Are you getting what I'm saying? Government have a lot of policies that if we have. Remember the years of the Minutemen of the United States of America when they wanted to get independence from UK, United Kingdom. You know what they did? They shunned everything that is about trying to induce or trying to corrupt, or they got, they targeted their objective to make sure that these British people that are holding us to ransom, we have to fight them back. All the laws that they were bringing, all the taxes and all that, they charged up the power. They charged they changed the narrative and made people to start, having a rethink.
So I guess we should see some kind of improvement with your association.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
How can you assure that?
We've been having meetings with some of the anti-graft agencies, and they said that they too, they're overwhelmed with the problems of corruption in Nigeria. And when they start seeing organizations coming up this way, they believe that there will be light in the end of the tunnel, because, in a nation of about 200 million, and about 100 million are corrupt, you don't expect 10,000 officials to sort out the problem. Do you understand what I'm saying? So now they are glad that we are coming up to say that we are definitely going to fight corruption, because we believe that we will improve our pockets financially. And, everybody, all Nigerians will improve their pocket. There will be general good instead of individual goods.
Yeah, we should all make it, at this time.
Yes.
And those people that are in business and are trying to, get all those goods out of the country, because that means you get your goods out of the country, you're bringing in hard currency, which will help us, in the future.
That will turn around the economy.
Yeah, so
yes.
We definitely need to, because I'm all for, buying Nigeria. We've seen the president now talking about, most of the MDAs now have to buy Nigeria. So that means most of those imports, we hopefully will, reduce.
Let me tell you something, just a quick one. If the Nigerian people will contribute their own quota to the progress that the governments of the days are making, Nigeria will improve. There's no two ways about it. Are you getting me? But when individuals begin to see those of us talking about the fact that corruption is not good, as evil people, wicked people trying to undermine what they are doing, Nigeria will continue to stagnate. You understand what I'm saying?
So we all need to work together.
All of us need to work hard together to make sure that things happened. The other day I was in one of the ports in Ghana to clear a consignment that was taken there. I spent only 3 days. The first day we didn't do anything. The second day, that's when we started. The 2 days, the consignment was out.
I guess that's why most of the goods are going through.
Yes, and why
that route.
can't Nigerian government also, on their own wisdom, try to create an enable environment, especially on the duty regime? Like now, they plot into the system officially that the container of beef, for example, though beef is a contraband, or container of gari or whatever, is supposed to be 100,000 duty. Once I put in the container of gari inside the system will bring out the duty of 100,000. I pay and go and carry my consignment. I observe that that's what all those nations are doing. That's why it is easy to remove a consignment within 24 hours or 48 hours from any port in Europe.
All right, we'll keep tracking your association to see, the kind of progress that you make. But thank you so much. It was great having you, Dr. Basil Wallace, as the National President, National Compliance Joint Task Force of Licensed Clearing Agents. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much, my brother.
All right, let's head straight to the markets now. We have Ini with the details. Great to have you, Ini, the lady in yellow.
Well, thank God that doesn't drive the market in one way.
Yeah, I think yellow is on change.
Not here. On change. No, on change is gray.
It's kind of like gray. Yeah. But sometimes I see yellow sometimes. But,
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the market segment of Business Incorporated. I guess I'm so much happy today because we had a very big close yesterday at the NGX, and that is sustained even up till now. Perhaps Ladi will be reporting a 109,000 level market at the close of trade today, because you can see here it's really close, 108,944. So just a little bit of hundreds, so less than 100, and then we'll head to the 109,000. And we've been there before. We've been to 109,000 before, but it's been a while, so it would be good to get back there. Let's find out what exactly is driving the market in this direction with Kehinde Jones. He's the head of research and strategy at Ancoria Securities Limited. Hi, Kehinde. Good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Good afternoon.
Great. So we've seen a bullish run since yesterday at the NGX, and I mean, even the pace is much higher than we've seen in recent time. What's really happening there? What's driving this?
So since yesterday, if you look at the market, there's been a lot of activities, especially in negotiated deals, cost deal. And if you look at the market yesterday, GTCO did about 37 million units as of yesterday. However, out of the 37 million units, 23 million units were in negotiated deal, which the price, negotiated price was around 63.4 out of the 37. If you look at today's market, like you said, me mentioned that the market have gained about 0.54%, which is quite on a good note. And there's a lot of buying interest, which continue to outweigh the selling pressure of each sector, especially for banking sector, consumer sector. In terms of the consumer sector, you will notice that the consumer sector, most of like Nigeria Breweries, Inter Breweries, Cadbury, and Nestle, and the rest, even NASCOM, the financial result, the financial earnings for quarter 1 2025 were quite impressive. And we saw a from negative from quarter 1 2024 to positive in quarter 1 2025. So this have given investors a good positive momentum in the market. And in the banking sector also, you will notice that in the banking sector, after the markdown of Zenith, UBA, and GTCO, we've seen that the market have rebounded. This stock have rebounded to what they were trading in Kumdiv share price. So today market was quite impressive. Actually, it was quite impressive in terms of the trading activities for today market. Tantalizer lead the chart of the highest total volume, which traded around 71 million shares for today. And GTCO did the same thing what it did yesterday also. 64 million units have already been traded in GTCO, followed by Fidelity Bank, which the volume is at 23.7 million units, followed by Zenith Bank, 16.95 million units, and Access Bank, followed by at 11.84 million units. So in terms of value, GTCO dominates with transaction worth of 4.2 billion in the media market, and followed by Zenith Bank around 823 million, followed by the Nigeria Brewery 561. Then in terms of notable transaction occur in the media market. So like I mentioned earlier that 64 million volume was traded into the market for GTCO. However, out of 64 million, we have 59 million units, which was a block trade, which a negotiated deal from securities, from investors, investors to other investors.
All
Which,
right, Kende, what's happening? I didn't hear you. You didn't even say anything about oil and gas. What's going on with that counter?
Yeah, so yes. I'm going to that part in terms of oil and gas. One thing about oil and gas sector, since beginning of this year, Q1, since January, we've seen the oil price not stable. So the oil and gas sector are not really stable in terms of what is going on in geopolitical tension, let me say issue between US and China, this trade war. But in terms of oil and gas, for today mid-market, even for this month, beginning of this month, the oil and gas are really not traded. So yesterday, Agade did the SDIV, that they have to remove their share, the dividend, payout dividend from the share price. So Agade is trading around 500 naira around now in the market. So in terms of Etana is also trading around 38 naira in the market now currently. And in terms of the other stickers in the market, they are trading in the mid-low space. So investors are shifting from oil price down to the banking sector, down to the consumer sector because of high in dividend yield in the banking sector and good results in the consumer sector. So
all right,
so
do you see the market hitting the 109,000 at the close of today's trade?
Yes, of course. Because currently in the media market today, the market is positive, and the highest for the market today already hits that point, the point of 109,000 point. He already hits that point. Is the highest. He's already hits that highest for today. So
all right.
I believe it will surely be bullish today.
All right, thank you so much, Kende Jones, Head of Research and Strategy at Ancoria Securities Limited.
Thank you.
All right, so it's positive for Nigeria, and for JSE, South Africa, it's negative 0.11% and still on the 191,000 level, but looks really close there. So maybe at the close of trade too, they could go back to the 92,000 level, which they had lost. For Egypt, it's negative more than 1% in the red at 31,956.08. And Nairobi Stock Exchange for Tuesday closed in the green, 0.14%. And that's for Africa. Moving to the Middle East is mostly negative from that area. In fact, it's all negative. The major markets that we trace here are negative. From Dubai, that's 0.21%, to Abu Dhabi, 0.05%, Saudi Arabia, 0.21%, and Qatar, 0.06%. Everybody seems to be in the red for this afternoon. In the United States, today is decision day, and so, of course, a lot of investors are looking that way, but it does seem like they are comfortable with the expectation that the Fed may hold rates, even though President Trump is not very happy about that. But we see a recovery for this features for them in the morning, 0.624, the Dow Jones, S&P 0.58, and NASDAQ 0.56, all in the positive, and features took a leg up the news that the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, and top trade officials may be meeting with China or will meet with China. The conversation that comes out of there is another story. They're supposed to meet this week in Switzerland. Investors took that as a positive on the trade front. After, of course, what we know has been happening around there, they were, of course, waiting for Fed Chair Jerome Powell's post-decision press conference for insights on where rates could go moving forward. That's also a major one that's driving this green color that we see in the U.S. In Asia, stocks are up as China signals policy easing. Very intentional is what we've seen with China amidst all this tariff battle. So we see the Nikkei is in the green, 0.12. The Kospi, South Korea, also green. Hang Seng, green. The Shanghai, green, as well as the Nifty 50, also green. And we're glad that the Nifty is back on the 24,000 level for India. So Japan's benchmark Nikkei we see, and Australia also climbed. So even in that area, we see a lot of positives. I'm sure all connected to the expectation from the China-US trade talks, which might bring calm to global economy. Ladi, I hope that we will get concrete agreement from this meeting in Switzerland, and it will soothe the market and help global economy, because everybody feels the pinch at the end of the day.
Yeah, everybody feels it, and who knows? Maybe we would see, gold continue to go down if the talks are positive. But all eyes on Jerome Powell.
Talks,
today.
Yeah,
we'll see,
in a couple of. I think you should have that before the end.
Yeah,
of
very
the
soon. So definitely we'll see how markets react to that. So
but I think it's already priced in. Everybody expects it to be a hold.
It'll be a hold.
It's just President Trump is not happy about it.
President
Trump is not happy about it.
Yeah, only a miracle could happen to
Yeah.
get that cut today, and which would make Donald Trump, very happy. But we'll definitely find out. But let's take it on to Europe now. We see a few industries have so directly contributed to the world's idea of America as Hollywood has. The Los Angeles neighborhood has been, synonymous with blockbuster movies for decades, but Hollywood has also been seeing some dire times. For U.S. President Trump, the industry is yet another way to play the tariff game, and business insiders around the world are wondering what's going to happen next. So Lars Holters with DW now joins me from Berlin. Great to have you, Lars. So Lars, what can you tell us about Trump's latest tariff threats? At this point, we're always expecting, some kind of threat, but I think nerves are soothing somewhat today.
Well, Ladi, we were all thinking that the tariff game was over for now, and just now we're getting another hit here. And I really mean because not only Germany, but large parts of Europe and the rest of the world are actually worrying about this now. The story here is that Trump says that other countries have been stealing U.S. film productions for too long, and now he wants to levy a tariff on all films not produced in the United States. Now, what he's likely referring to, of course, is the fact that lots of Hollywood productions have long been filmed not only in those famous studios in LA, but indeed around the world. To name just a few that are currently being produced, some movies that everybody is pretty much aware of. Mission Impossible was just shot literally around the world because that's part of the franchise there, with these exotic locations and faraway destinations. There's the John Wick films in the Czech Republic. They were filmed. Avatar is filmed in New Zealand. Avengers in London. And now all of that, mind you, of course, is not because, to quote Trump here, other countries stole these productions, but it's because these U.S. studios have made the decision to produce elsewhere, sometimes simply because it was cheaper there. It was their decision. And yes, it was because many countries have been granting tax breaks, of course, for movie productions.
So how about, Germany, where you're based now? What would the impact of movie tariffs, what would that be for Berlin?
Well, Ladi, we would certainly feel the pinch here, to put it mildly. Just outside Berlin, actually, we got the Babelsberg Studios, and that's actually the oldest large-scale film studio in the world, actually preceding Hollywood. Babelsberg saw its first film productions back in 1912. Fritz Lang, famous director, legendary. He shot the Metropolis movie there. But in recent years, the studio has had many Hollywood producers there. Quentin Tarantino shot Inglourious Basterds. Wes Anderson shot movies there. Steven Spielberg was there with Bridge of Spies and with Tom Hanks. And in a few months, the latest installment of Hunger Games will shoot there. Or not, of course, depending on how big this story will get and depending on who would even have to pay these tariffs. Would they apply to productions that are already planned or that have already started? Certainly, production companies would have to recalculate their cost if they had to pay these tariffs, which Trump, by the way, pegged at 100%. So this kind of tariff would obviously upend any budget. And if it came to tariffs like that, Berlin, like many other locations, would lose these Hollywood projects, and that could impact thousands of people here working on film sets, in makeup, in costumes, as technicians. It's really a huge industry.
Yeah, definitely a huge value chain there. And I did enjoy, Inglorious Bastards that you mentioned there. But what are investors looking at in today's market?
They're taking a little bit of a break today, Ladi. The DAX in Frankfurt is doing okay. It's stabilizing a bit because it had such a day yesterday. I mean, just to recap, Friedrich Merz here was supposed to be elected chancellor yesterday in an act that wasn't supposed to be more than a formality, but we talked about it yesterday. He didn't get the votes in the morning here, and fearing a government crisis, the DAX nosedived, but then it recovered when Merz actually later that afternoon, yesterday, he won a second ballot. And just to make sure we all got this, Germany now does have a new chancellor, Friedrich Merz. The entire new government has been sworn in, and they're starting work today. So today, I guess investors are really taking a break from all that Berlin business that kept them busy yesterday. They're focusing a lot more on the US. So we just heard between you and Ini here, mostly we're all looking towards the Fed meeting, where, of course, we're expecting the Fed to leave interest rates untouched. But this decision won't come out until after markets close. So I'm pretty sure that is something we're going to discuss a little bit more tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess we'll see the impact on the markets for today's decision. We'll get that tomorrow, and maybe some kind of forward guidance. Thank you so much, Lars Holter there, for giving us the details of what's playing out in Europe.
Thank you, Ladi.
All right, now let's go to East Africa, where Kenya's economy grew by 4.7% in 2024, down from 5.7% in 2023. The Director General of the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics told journalists in the Kenyan capital of Nairobi that growth was experienced in most sectors of the economy, with agriculture, forestry, and fishing expanding by about 4.6%. The statistics agency said the manufacturing sector grew by 2.8%, up from 2.2% in 2023, with the expansion of agro-based industries largely driven by a rebound in sugar production. And to telecoms now, MTN Uganda has reported a strong quarter despite the changes to regulatory mobile termination rates, thanks to a 13.5% rise in service revenue. The group reported a 20.6% rise in profit after tax in the 3 months to end March to 180.9 billion Ugandan shillings, with an improved margin of 21.3%. Revenue was 13% higher at 848 billion Ugandan shillings. And the port of Bajaya recorded a significant increase in its exports during the first 3 months of 2025, confirming its recovery momentum and its role in Algeria's foreign trade. The total export reached 674,000 tons in the first quarter of 2025, compared to 519,000 tons in the first quarter of 2024. That's about 29.88% uptick. And the Bank of Ghana's gold reserves reached a valuation of approximately 46.3 billion Ghana cedis at the end of April 2025, according to the central bank's announcement. And the price of gold, that rose to about 46,000 Ghana cedis per ounce. According to the official data published by the Bank of Ghana, the nation's total gold holdings, that's to the 31.37 tons as of April 30th, 2025. This translates to about 1 million ounces of gold using the standard conversion of 32,150 ounces per metric ton. All right, let's get a check on what's playing out with the crypto market at this time. We see, with some markets, seeing some kind of ease with, potential talks between the U.S. and China yielding positive returns there. But if we look at the crypto, the headlines in the market, we see Bitcoin, there claims that Bitcoin will dominate the market by about 90% plus in the next 15 years. And when we talk about Bitcoin dominance, this is coming from cryptocurrency trader, prominent one. His name is Willy Woo. He's projecting we'll see 90% dominance for Bitcoin. That's above most of the altcoins. Now it's always ranging between 40 to 50%. Sometimes it gets lower, but he's saying Bitcoin will completely dominate the crypto market in about 15 years. Now we see Ethereum has successfully activated the first phase of Pectra. That's its latest major upgrade since Denkin in March last year. It's going live today in New York about 6:05 a.m. That should be live already at this point. Following the hard fork itself, developers faced a nail-biting wait to see if the network had achieved finality, which took place earlier today. So we're also seeing Binance founder Changpeng Zhao is suggesting lowering BSC chain gas fees by 3 to 10 times its current rates. The former Binance CEO is proposing lowering gas fees on the BSC chain. There's saying, according to data at this point, BSC chain's average gas price 0.16 Rigway, down about 3.91% from yesterday's average. So that's the cost of sending transactions across the Binance network. So yeah, it does cost money to send cryptocurrencies across chains at this point. So he's saying let the fees get lower and more affordable for users. All right, so our next conversation now. We know stablecoin, AI agents are a hot topic right now in the world of crypto. We've seen considerable growth in adoption. That's for stablecoins. Let's talk to Ololade Babalola, is the founder, Endure Labs, joining me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show.
Hi, thanks for having me, Letty.
So we see Bitwise Investments, the cryptocurrency index fund and asset management company. They released a market review report on cryptocurrencies for the first quarter of the year. And the firm found that, for the first time ever, the total volume of transactions involving stable coins surpassed the yearly total of all payments facilitated by, global finance giant, that's Visa. What's this telling us?
It's saying a lot. It's saying that there's a lot of money movement on chain. Historically, stable coins were just a trade-in, should I say, safe place of when the markets go high and low, you park your profits in stable coins. But now stable coins are going through an evolution where they are being plugged into the global financial landscape. So basically, I think as of this morning, I was checking on real world assets, the XYZ. The total stable coin holding that they track is currently at close to $250 billion. And this is without us being in the frenzy of a bull market yet. So there is going to be an immense wave of stable coins. Individual organizations like my former institutions have announced them launching their own stable coins. So it's going to get more fun and crazier. And it's also why Visa is stepping on the gas and trying to figure out what blockchain looks like so that they could also absorb a lot of that transaction settlement in stable coins and on the blockchain.
Right, and we know stable coins, even though they're called stable coins, they do come with risk. We had the issue of algorithmic stable coins that lost their peg, and we've had trouble in the past with some of these stable coin platforms. Is that a thing of the past, or do you still see risk when it comes to most of these stable coin platforms?
So with stable coins, I would say definitely the safest are the centralized and pegged to the dollar type stable coins. The algorithmic stable coins, as at the last time I checked, haven't really cracked that whole mechanism to stay in place. And we all know what happened to Luna. Everybody thinks about Luna, but a huge piece of it was also their stable coin UST. that lost its peg drastically because I think the Treasury had amassed a lot of Bitcoin and there was some manipulation or trading going on in the market that really tanked Bitcoin and it depegged drastically. Even the centralized ones, every once in a while, you can see a couple of cents being lost against the dollar. But the goal is for every USDT, USDC, or whatever version of stablecoin we're speaking of, there should be a dollar backed, kind of like the government backs fiat currencies. That is what the premise is. But with algorithmic stablecoins, DAI has been doing a lot of good work, but nobody has really cracked it in the most stable of states, kind of like the name says, like you say.
All right, so for international trade, are we, seeing stable coins, playing a role there?
Oh yeah, for I'll say global remittances, it's one of the easiest ways because it is on the blockchain and it's instant. You had alluded to Binance reducing like transaction and gas fees. It is getting cheaper and cheaper. You're not having ACH transfer delays or wire transfer hold times. You literally can send something on, let's say, the Tron chain or Ethereum L2s and get it just in a couple of seconds, sometimes maybe minutes. So that will be definitely a perfect use case for global remittances, global trade. And I think it's only going to get better the more and more real world assets get integrated to the blockchain globally.
We'll definitely be, watching and see how, adoption of stablecoins, if that continues to grow, into the future. But let's pivot now to AI agents. I know that's another hot topic in the crypto industry. What are you seeing, play out there? First quarter is over now. Did you see any improvements with most of these AI agents? Are they getting more autonomous? What are you seeing?
So I would say I will start from outside of crypto and say the advancements in just AI as a whole has been drastic. So it definitely translates and percolates into the crypto space. We know it started, well, there was a frenzy when an agent on Twitter was given about $50,000 in Bitcoin to trade. And they're only going to get smarter. And I think crypto folks believe that crypto is potentially one of the best use cases for AI agents to settle transactions. And just to dumb it down a bit, an AI agent is a very intelligent computer program that you can assign a task and it will get it done. So quick example here is I can have an agent that is my travel agent. And as cliche as that sounds, I don't mean a human being, I mean an AI agent that can literally get access to my crypto wallet or bank account and help search for the best dates with respect to what I'm trying to do and book a ticket. With respect to why crypto is a perfect use case for this, I don't have to give you access to my main bank account. I literally can create a crypto wallet solely for travel or whatever the case might be, load it up with some crypto, and the AI agent performs that task, interacts, pays off. Once again, very cheaply. We're not talking ACH, we're not talking human interaction, all computer program to computer program. So outside of the speculative AI agents that are on Twitter or Truth Terminal, Luna Visuals, there is actually a potential use case for AI agents. And I am also of the opinion that stable coins, not necessarily speculative on what's it called, tokens, will be a very valid means of payment for AI agents to use. And the way we hear about it now, they're going to be agents for almost everything. And I believe that integrating it into crypto will definitely be a big win.
I hear some of these agents can actually, learn so they can also make their own decisions, going forward. I can imagine an AI agent making a trade for me and making a loss. That would definitely not be funny at this point.
Yeah, and they do get intelligent the more and more we have data, so they get smarter and smarter. So definitely it'll be something to be on the lookout for.
Right, definitely look out for that. But we also got data out about the Trump meme coin. About 58 wallets made about $10 million each, and over 700,000 wallets made losses. Definitely, that's the story of most of these meme coins. How are you seeing that?
I kind of zoomed out of crypto when meme coins became the main point of attraction. However, it was the reality, and if you think about it, a lot of those wallets that did make money, they were insider wallets. A lot of it was orchestrated. It's kind of why right after the Trump situation happened, we had the president of Argentina potentially being about to be impeached, or at least those motions are being moved, because the same entity, if I'm very correct, who established Trump meme coin was responsible for establishing the Argentine president's meme coin as well. And there was a lot of insider trading, or at least knowledge of inside information going on. So having 50 plus people or 10 people make copious amounts of money in contrast to hundreds of thousands that were hoping for more. Unfortunately, kind of like the saying goes, the house always wins. It's a hell of a casino with meme coins, and never trade anything more than you're willing to lose.
Right, because it almost seems, with most of these meme coins, most of the traders are always late, to the party, and they hope that somehow they're going to be able to mint some kind of profit if they stay on, but end up making losses. So at this point, with what we've seen so far with the meme coins, is it safe to say just stay away from meme coins?
I would say be ready to lose it. Memes are going to always have a place. I see memes as a marketing department for the crypto space. That's the loose way I define it, because I say every crypto should have a meme strategy. Memes have been here since ancient time, and they're not going to go anywhere. But the meme coins, and taking them outside of Doge, Shiba, and making them like this main thing for a long time in crypto was, I would say, what kind of knocked the taste out of my mouth. They're not going to go away. People are still going to crack jokes. People's attentions are still going to be fun, because that's literally what memes are. And even real projects are going to have meme strategies. It literally is just grabbing people's attention.
Right.
Unfortunately, the attention window keeps shortening and shortening over time. And that's what we're seeing. Meme coins, some don't even last more than 24 hours anymore. So that's not fun. And
right.
Yeah, I hope that wave is gone, but we'll see in the next few months when the
I guess as long as the emotion, greed stays on, meme coins will still be there. Thank you so much, Ololade is the founder and Dura Labs. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
All right, and it's green on the screen behind me there with Bitcoin 3.11%, up 2.93% for Ethereum. It's looking really green, just a couple of red pockets there, and the market's all reacting to most of the positive tariff, maybe looking a little positive, at this point with tariff talks between the US and China. But that's the show today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll give you more updates on what's playing out in these markets tomorrow. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. From me and the team right here at Channels HQ. Bye for now.